You know, some of history's biggest turning points don't happen out in the open with huge crowds watching. They happen in secret, under the cover of darkness. In this explainer, we're going deep into one of those moments, a clandestine meeting in a mountain pass that would literally change the course of civilization. This is the story of the second pledge of Al-Aqabah. Just listen to these words from Ka'b ibn Malik, one of the people who was actually there that night. They really paint a picture of just how tense this was. I mean, can you imagine? You're moving through the desert after midnight, and the entire future of your community rests on you not making a single sound. So why all the secrecy? Well, because for the early Muslims back in Mecca, this was a moment of pure desperation. The sources all describe their situation as a total low point. They were facing constant persecution, they had no real allies, and there was just no end in sight. A new, powerful alliance wasn't just a good idea, it was absolutely essential for their survival. Okay, so that bleak reality is the backdrop for one of the most important secret meetings in history. Let's get into how it all came together. A group of 75 people made the journey from Medina to Mecca during the pilgrimage season. Now get this, it was 73 men and, really importantly, 2 women, Nusayba bint Ka'b and Asma bint Amr. Their presence sent a powerful message. This wasn't just a pledge between warriors, it was a pledge from an entire community, men and women together, who were ready to build something new. The time and place were chosen so carefully. They picked a rugged mountain pass, way off the beaten path, far from the main camps. And the meeting was set for after a third of the night had already passed, to make sure everyone else would be deep asleep. Every single detail was planned to avoid the prying eyes of the Quraysh. So, picture it. They've gathered in secret under the stars. What exactly were they there to promise? And what made the terms of this deal so revolutionary? The very first condition was a pledge to listen and obey. But this wasn't just a promise for the good times. This was a commitment to be steadfast, whether you felt energetic and motivated or tired and lazy. It was about building a foundation of unshakable discipline, a character that was consistent, not just convenient. And the second condition, it followed that exact same radical idea. A pledge to spend for the cause, whether you were rich or you were poor. It was another test, really, of a commitment that went way beyond personal comfort or circumstances. Third, they pledged to stand for what was right and forbid what was wrong, to speak out for God's cause without worrying about what anyone else might say or think. This was a promise to uphold justice, even if it meant you were the only one standing. And finally, the big one, the most critical condition of all, a pledge to support and protect the Prophet Muhammad when he came to them, just as they would protect their own wives and their own children. This was the ultimate guarantee, an allegiance built not on tribe or blood, but on a shared faith. Now, these were not light promises, not by a long shot. Agreeing to these terms, especially that last one, came with a massive, life-changing price tag. As Ad ibn Zurara, who was one of the youngest people there, he stood up and made the stakes crystal clear. He wanted to make sure they all understood that this pledge meant a complete and total break from the old tribal system. It meant war. It meant facing swords. And that really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Knowing the cost could be your money, your reputation, maybe even your life, what on earth could be the reward for taking a risk that immense? The answer wasn't about gaining worldly power or territory. The reward, as promised by the prophet and captured perfectly in this verse, was paradise. This whole pledge is framed as a divine transaction, their lives, their property, their commitment in this world in exchange for the ultimate reward in the next. So, with the terms understood and the reward made clear, they made the pledge. But just as this incredible bond was being forged, the night took a very dramatic turn. So, the covenant is finalized. It later gets called the Pledge of War. The men from Medina proudly declare themselves people of war. And at that exact moment, a loud shout echoes through the pass, waking up the nearby camps. Their secret meeting was now exposed. This moment is just a perfect example of incredible leadership. The immediate impulse for some of them was to grab their swords and fight, right? But the prophet's command was the exact opposite. He told them, "We have not been commanded to do that. Go back to your campsite." A hasty, emotional reaction would have led to total chaos, maybe even a massacre. Instead, he taught them strategic patience. That moment of restraint was every bit as important as the pledge itself. It made sure they survived the night, and it set the stage for the dawn of a whole new era. I mean, just look at the timeline of that night. At midnight, 75 people gather in secret. In the middle of their pledge, they're discovered. But because they followed orders, they just slip back to their camp before dawn. When the leaders of Quraysh came sniffing around in the morning, their own people, who didn't even know about the meeting, denied everything. The secret was kept safe.
And you just can't overstate the impact of that one night. This single secret pledge was the turning point. It marked the shift from a small, persecuted community in Mecca to one that would soon have a safe home, powerful allies, and the strength to build a new society. It was, as the sources all say, the precursor to every victory that came after.
The bond they forged that night was sealed with the Prophet's own powerful words, creating a new kind of family, one that was stronger than blood ties. "You are of me, and I am of you," he told them. It was a promise made in a dark mountain pass that would end up bringing a new light to the entire world.